Hello everyone, my name is Leo Ballenbao and I'm a minister's assistant here at the Buddhist Church of San Francisco. Please join me in Gassho as I read the words of the 8th century Pure Land Master Zumi. The Buddha in the causal stage made the universal vow. When beings hear my name and think on me, I will come to welcome each of them, not discriminating at all between poor and rich and well-born, not discriminating between the inferior and the highly gifted, not choosing the learned and those upholding pure precepts, nor rejecting those who break precepts, and whose evil karma is profound. Solely making beings turn about and abundantly say the Nembutsu, I can make bits of rubble change to gold. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda Butsu. I can make bits of rubble change to gold. I don't think I'm alone in saying I've been watching more television during these last few months than usual. I've also noticed that I'm less apt to watch a long, drawn-out program than a 30 or 40-minute self-contained program. And there's been a theme with these programs, and that's turning bits of rubble into gold. I'm fascinated by shows like Queer Eye, What Not to Wear, and I discovered a new British show called 100% Hotta. I also like home improvement shows like The Great Design Challenge and This Old House, Tidying Up with Marie Kondo, and it doesn't stop there. I love shows that show the transformation of ingredients like The Great British Bake Off and Chopped. I'm fascinated by the before and after photos of people, places, and things. If you watch any of these shows long enough, you start to see themes emerge. The caretaker who gives to the point of abandoning self-care, the adult who is bullied as a child and doesn't feel they deserve to take up space in this world, people grieving the loss of loved ones, the past or maybe just their youth, who hold on to memories or possessions or behaviors. In short, we see the universal truth of suffering in the world. So what is the problem and the answer to suffering presented in these shows? The problem, lack of self-esteem. Its answer, its acquisition. The show 100% Hotter, for instance, clearly shows this. They have participants rated by the general public before their makeover, and then again after their makeover, on a scale from 1 to 10. Their rising score should, in theory, raise the participants' self-esteem at the end of the show. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes the participants will revert back to their old way of dressing. This is one of the things I like about British television. They don't always tie things up in a happy bow. Self-compassion researcher Dr. Kristen Neff, in her book Self-Compassion, The Proven Power of Being Kind to Yourself, references the work of sociologist Charles Horton Cooley and states the following about self-esteem. He, Cooley, proposed that the feelings of self-worth stem from the looking glass self. That is, our perceptions of how we appear in the eyes of others. If we believe that others judge us positively, we'll feel good about ourselves. If we believe that others judge us negatively, we'll feel bad about ourselves. Self-esteem, in other words, stems not only from our own self-judgments, but also the perceived judgments of others. Highlight the word perceived. We can see already where things might go wrong if we base our self-worth on the perceived judgment of others. We've outsourced our self-value. There are other downsides to overvaluing self-esteem, such as narcissism and entitlement, which is associated with decreased empathy and antisocial behavior. Perfectionism, another problem, which is associated with anxiety and depression. Neff doesn't believe that self-esteem is entirely bad, but that self-compassion is a better predictor of mental wellness. In fact, self-esteem can be a byproduct of self-compassion. I don't know about you, but I can be extremely hard on myself when I make a mistake. Holding compassion for others is sometimes easier than holding it for yourself. But with the energy of mindfulness, I'm learning to catch my negative self-talk and judgments and replace it with words of understanding, encouragement, and compassion. One way to do this is to ask myself, what would I tell a friend in this instance? When we engage in negative and judgmental dialogue with ourselves, we can tie ourselves up in knots. Not good enough, not smart enough, not successful enough, not thin enough. The knots go on and on. But these knots are just thoughts and don't honor the complexity and full breadth of our experience as human beings. Interestingly enough, Professor Nuff, Dr. Nuff, was trained in mindfulness in Berkeley in Thich Nhat Hanh's tradition during a period of turmoil in her own life. Her self-compassion practice centers on the energy of mindfulness and self-kindness, and a third component, common humanity. Common humanity, recognizing our shared humanity, what we Shōshinge Buddhists refer to as the oneness of life. You are not alone in your experience. Others have walked and are walking this path now. In her book, Dr. Neff states, instead of seeing ourselves as a problem to be fixed, therefore self-kindness allows us to see ourselves as valuable human beings who are worthy of care. All the practices we find in self-improvement shows I mentioned aren't necessarily bad in and of themselves if they are engaged with the intention of self-care and not self-perfection, and informed by compassion. It is the wisdom of Amida Buddha that eliminates our ego-centered selves, but just as importantly, it is the compassion that transforms life's hard lessons into gold. So this week, if you catch yourself putting yourself down, stop, take a breath, and ask yourself, what am I feeling? How can I help myself? And what words of encouragement and support can I give myself right now? When we take care of ourselves in a holistic way, we can then share the transformative power of wisdom and compassion with others. Please join me in Gassho. The Buddha and the causal stage made the universal vow. When beings hear my name and think on me, I will come to welcome each of them, not discriminating at all between the poor and the rich and well-born, not discriminating between the inferior and the highly gifted, not choosing the learned and those upholding pure precepts, nor rejecting those who break precepts and whose evil karma is profound, solely making beings turn about and abundantly sit in Nembutsu. I can make bits of rubble change to gold. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda, Namanda Butsu. Thank you. Please join me in the chanting of the Vandana Tisarana. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namu Kie Futsu, Namu Kie Ho, Namu Kie So. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, 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 Namanda Butsu. I have a few announcements this week. We have on Tuesday nights, or Tuesday afternoons at 2 p.m. our book club, which is reading the book Why Buddhism is True. And also on Wednesday nights at 6:30, we have mindfulness meditation with Minister Assistant Leo Jocelyn. If you're interested in any of these activities, please contact the church and you will be giving the Zoom links to participate in those two activities. We will have Dharma service next week. Normally we don't on a 4th of July weekend, but we will have one next week with the B.Sensei, and the junior YBA will be chairing this service. This week I'd like to thank Reverend Kobata and Kevin Yoza for putting together our service this week, and also for Priscilla Kojimoto for reading the Golden Chain. We will close this service with a musical remembrance of last year's Obonodori with Tanko Bushi. Thank you. Namanda.